Hello, my name is Bucky Flores, and I'm here today just to share a little bit about my experience as a cohort member of the Healing Forest and the forest bathing training that I was fortunate to participate in. So, as I mentioned, my name is Bucky. I currently work for Rochester Public Schools as a as a program coordinator. I coordinate a program called LEAP. LEAP stands for the Launching Emerging Adults Program, which is a transition focused program for 16 to 21-year-olds. It is one of Rochester Public Schools' innovative programs. I'll talk a little bit about more about what I'm doing with forest bathing in relationship to that, as my work with Rochester Public Schools. My training and involvement in the forest bathing training and as a participant as a member of the Healing Forest cohort was not part of my employment. It's not part of my work agreement or my duties or job expectations. However, in my opinion, I had some vision and thoughts as to way in which the training may be potentially beneficial for both the staff that I work with and with the participants that I work with also. Before I get too much into that, I want to spend a little bit of time just expressing thanks and gratitude. On the forefront of that, I can't express or make it clear enough. I don't think that there is no way that I could have participated in this training as a member of the Healing Forest cohort group without the support of the funders. And I apologize if I'm missing some of the funders, but Olmsted County, um, Olmsted County Public Health, Olmsted County Medical, Minnesota Department of Health, Mayo Clinic, Schmidt Foundation. Um, and again, if I'm missing any of you, I really do apologize. I just want to express my extreme gratitude. I know often grantors or funders are curious about their investment and whether or not that funding has the outcomes that are intended, and how do we measure tangible outcomes of something like the forest bathing training. I think anytime we're investing in wellness and promoting wellness, I think that's a sound investment. I think being creative and finding investments like this one, which focuses on the utilization of nature and the more than human world to help promote connection and relationship, whether that's through any of the human domains, whether that's physical, intellectual, emotional, social, or spiritual connections, and fostering wellness through those relationships. I'm a believer in those type of investments. If you just considered it just for me, I think it has provided health benefits for me as just an individual in the training, and that will only become exponential. I hope as myself and the other forest healing forest cohort members continue to share and expand and provide experiences that we have been introduced and trained to do. And so thank you very much. A special shout out to Project Get Outdoors. Sarah, you and your team and your efforts and your dedication and commitment and follow through. Just your continued effort to, promote the use of outdoors and outdoor engagement, outdoor participation, just being outdoors and understanding the health benefits and ramifications of a lifestyle which endorses outdoor engagement and involvement. Continues to be inspirational. I begin every forest bathing, or as part of the beginning of every one of my forest bathing walks. I continue to recognize Project Get Outdoors as a regional nonprofit organization who supports and encourages outdoor engagement. For all people. And so, thank you, Sarah, and Project Get Outdoors. A why of my participation in this program is, strongly driven by two things. I didn't just stumble upon, forest bathing and think that would be a cool resume builder and training and certification. I've been, interested in alternative approaches to wellness and the use of leisure and recreational practices, for a long time. Part of that is my lineage, and perhaps I missed it in the gratitudes. Thanking my own parents and some of the people who have involved in my life that have encouraged me to embrace the outdoors, to understand the spiritual connection and relationships to the outdoors, to have formal education in the use of leisure activities and outdoor engagement as wellness. So these are pieces of the why. And believe increasingly humans become more and more disconnected from the natural world. Research is supporting that, both specifically in terms of people's connection and relationship and understanding to the natural world. Research would also suggest, I think, that there is a correlation between that increasing disconnection to our natural world and our increased complexities in terms of wellness. Whether that's mental health, social, emotional, and spiritual health, whether that's our physical health. All of these things continue to seem increasingly threatened. That our overall well-being and wellness continues to increase as we and I exist in this current reality of complex industrial systems, complex technological systems. We seem to be increasingly disconnected as humans, um, which seems to coincide through some sort of threats of wellness. And these aren't just opinions of mine. There are people much more intelligent and smarter and well versed in research than I am. Individuals like Dr. Gabor Mate, Dr. Bruce Perry, um, Dr. Amit Sud, individuals who have spent a lot of time trying to understand the current emotional state um, of people in our dominant society, and things that we can potentially do to counteract some of the realities in which we find ourselves, by reconnecting and fostering engaging in the more than human world. Um, so that's a bit of the why. Currently, my application and use of the healing forest and the forest bathing training it is more than one. I mean, one on a personal level, I continue to engage in and use my sit spots and practice. Some of the principles like presence of pleasure and guiding myself. Guiding my family, guiding other individuals on forest bathing walks, reaching out to other organizations and communities that seem like minded and have access to diverse populations that can introduce and provide this opportunity for. None of that is being, currently, I'm not asking for any type of payment or, just or to be paid for any of those. I do think something in the future, may have a little less on my plate that I would foresee and seek pursuits in. But currently, just having kind of an open door and open invitation policy, reaching out to other organizations or making it known that I can provide those services if people are interested. That's one aspect of how I'm currently using the training. Another aspect, I mean, specifically within my job, there are elements of the forest bathing training that I'm using almost every day. Again, like the presence of pleasure, this intentional kind of grounding type experiences and exercise. It's something that we had been doing in the past, but through the training, I've been able to incorporate specific elements of that training into some of those practices with the young adults in which I work. Some of the specific language of the training, concepts like omnipartiality, concepts like language of invitation, these seem to mesh well with some of our philosophical approaches of the program and working with young adults, shifting away from kind of compliance driven language to a more democratic and mutual agreement of understanding and connection and relationship. And so using specific language that I've been introduced to within the meeting or within the training, excuse me, specifically, as I mentioned, terms like omnipartiality and the language of invitation. Sometimes they'll even, our participants here will even joke, well, are you inviting me, Bucky? And, actually, yes, I am inviting. There isn't a compliance component of what I'm asking you to do. If you refuse, it's not a source of like control or power struggle. It's based upon a relationship that we have with each other, and how do we mutually agree to move forward together in those relationships. And so there are just details of the training without actually being in a and if out in a walk, or following specifically through the protocols that we can implement with our participants and with our staff, and the language that we use as the staff that I have found beneficial as well. As I mentioned, while RPS didn't, fund, or it's not part of my job requirement. It wasn't a training that was offered through Rochester Public Schools. I did have the unique opportunity with one of the other cohort members who is also employed by Rochester Public Schools, have the opportunity to guide staff to promote wellness and professionalism within the workforce. Dr. Bruce Perry talks a lot about emotional regulation and state dependence functioning. One of the concepts which he supports is endorses is the idea of it. A dysregulated individual cannot regulate another dysregulated individual. And the reality of our current situation for many of us is life is dysregulating. We're constantly moving in moments and seconds. Our technological advancements prevent us really from having moments off, and oftentimes limit the amount of intentional decisions that we are often making. And so there is an element of dysfunction that we are all kind of operating in constantly. And so this idea of dysregulated adults then working with students is potentially creating what Dr. Perry would refer to as this emotional contagion of dysregulation. And so I was fortunate to work with, as I mentioned, another cohort member to offer forest bathing as a regulatory practice to prepare staff as part of the return to school, back to school week, which was really great. Like I said, it just allowed me to mix, or to have this alchemy opportunity to share ideas and concepts in common and shared spaces. I hope to continue to be able to offer that as opportunities arise, and to support staff that way, as well as our participants that way. Um, yeah, so that's kind of currently what I've been using it for. In the future, I'm currently involved in a master's program of social work. I hope again that there's an opportunity for alchemy in that approach as well. I really do, in the future, hope to be able to potentially, even in retirement, have a focus on really just using nature um, as a therapeutic approach. I need to get a few things off my plate as I continue to like further develop this idea, and I, hope to look forward to continuing to be a part of the cohort group, to continue to learn, still closely work beside Sarah and Project Get Outdoors, and see where this all leads to, this kind of idea. And I won't even call it a new idea. This is an ancient idea of us fostering our connections to the natural world, and understanding the importance of those, intellectual, social, spiritual, emotional connections to the more than human world, or for us as human beings. And so I'm excited about the opportunity. I'm very thankful for the opportunity that was offered and provided for me. And I hope that those funders who supported the training continue to fund such opportunities, and to see the potential health benefits of how the healing forest, if you will, can continue to benefit our communities. Thank you very much.